I should stop that. Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. For this is Dave Valente on the Thursday Night Hockey Show, the final one of the season. Although we have one next week for the draft, but let me bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Travis. Is it really over? Aurednik, how you doing, man?
Is it ever really over?
Is it ever really over? I don't know.
Is it ever really over unless COVID comes back?
Yeah, I mean that could just make a permanent season.
Monkeypox.
Yeah, I mean, monkeypox spreads through physical contact, and hockey is full of physical contact. So there's a good chance. Well, say
wasn't there another virus that came from some form of physical contact, and it had to do with monkeys?
Who knows?
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Anyway.
It's a lot more physical contact. It's a completely different game there. So thanks to all our viewers. We got folks on Twitch. Tonight we're debuting on TikTok. Say hi to TikTok behind me. That's Travis, by the way.
I'm Travis. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, although
they're
tickers of talkers. Yeah, the tickers of talkers.
They're in that box. That one.
Right here. Wow. Yeah.
So,
out of my propensity to get Facebook banned, I've tried to branch out on my platforms because Facebook has just become way too unreliable for me. So that's why my name is Facebook Prisoner 0394485582. Until tomorrow at noon, I get released for behavior, maybe not good behavior, but it's behavior, and I'll be back on my main account.
Can we get visitation rights?
Are you asking me for conjugal visits?
I'm not asking you for conjugal visits.
Nice, excellent.
Nice.
Noise. So yeah, we congrats to the Colorado Avalanche who have won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, the cup's over.
Yeah.
Nobody was really surprised.
Well, I think when Tampa won Game 5 and forced it back to Tampa for Game 6, I thought there was kind of that thinking that perhaps the beast is not dead. You're gonna have to stab it in the heart with a stake to kill it. And to Colorado's credit, they did it on Tampa ice. And
I love a steak right now.
Yeah, me too. But Game 6, Cale Makar is the Conn Smythe winner as playoff MVP.
Cale Makar is just the GOAT. Between Kadri and Makar.
Yeah.
Here's
the thing. I should have bet money on this because if we go back to the episode, it was after Game 1. Colorado had won a close game. Cale Makar didn't score in that game at all. But I said Colorado in 6, Cale Makar MVP. and
Should have played
both
that
of them
future.
should have done
We
the
only
parlay.
remember the ones that we got right. We
Yeah.
don't remember the rest of the crap we said this
Oh no,
season. That
I've
was
got
terrible.
I've got plenty of ones from the regular season that I bombed on.
Yeah,
So
I can light you up with bad takes. Like that's what we need, just a montage of our bad takes.
oh my god, you actually had a couple really good ones, and we'll get to those a little bit later. Um, but Colorado finally getting over the hump. Finally, they had been stuck in that conference semifinals rut for 3 seasons, getting eliminated in the second round. They finally get past that. They finally get into the Stanley Cup Finals, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, Colorado is a Stanley Cup favorite. They should, we shouldn't be surprised by that they've done it this year. And I think looking back at it, none of us should have been surprised that it went this way. But um, that final hump is always the hardest one to get over, and that it was Tampa, I think, really solidifies their position as now a top flight team.
Yeah, I
And
mean we have a body for this one. I
yeah,
think that's important. It's not like Tampa missed the mark. We never know what would have happened. It's like defending champion taken down, can confirm
yeah,
Colorado's better.
yeah. And Colorado was better throughout the series, although I think Tampa did get there after they got shellacked in game two, 7-0.
I
They
didn't
did
see
get there.
anything out of Tampa that I thought was really overwhelmingly high
Well, they got
quality
better,
play.
but they got better. I mean, after game two, people were like, "This is going to be done in 4," and you know, this isn't a series. They put together the solid effort in game three. They put together a pretty. I mean, I when they won game five, that was a close game, and I think it could have gone either way. But Tampa did enough. Um, it was only a 2-1 victory in game six.
Tampa's so interesting to me though because once you figure out how to take them down, like I mean, there's a cheat code for Tampa. They're
Now
they
there,
have they have a play style.
yeah. Now there's people know how to take Tampa down. Um, I, I won't say that this is the last time we see Tampa in the Stanley Cup Finals. I
Oh
think you
no,
could
they're
see them make another run.
yeah, next year they're definitely going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if they're going to be in the Cup Finals, but you
Yeah,
can count on Tampa showing back up. And I
yeah,
think that right now we're on the verge of, one of those swings that we get every 10, 15 years. I think the East is on its way down and the West is on its way up between Colorado and Minnesota and all the potential for LA.
yeah.
And, the Seattle Kraken, just one of the absolute monsters in the league right now. Um, I had to. But
Oh, yeah.
Anaheim on its way up. I mean, I think that we're going to see a shift from, the all-star superpower East back to the West. Um, like we're on about a 10-year stretch right now of exactly who's going to show up, and it's getting a little more shaky. I think
Yeah, I mean,
that this season was Florida's last season as the juggernaut that they've been. I think that we'll get to see them fall apart. Um,
from a cap perspective, because it is a flat cap, you're gonna see like I was just reading a story about how the Leafs are open to trading Ilya Mikheyev, his rights, and they're probably not going to be able to re-sign Jack Campbell because they've got like 15 contracts
yeah,
and they're already like 6 million away from the cap.
well, and
How
I
can
mean
you do that?
they took such a big hit whenever they made that big playoff trade run. What was it? Right, the year before COVID,
Yeah,
2018.
no, for COVID, it was Nick Foligno
Yeah,
and
they got to
uh,
Wierenski, didn't they? Zach Wierenski.
no, they got
Who am I thinking of?
they got
Nylander.
yeah.
They got Nylander. Yeah.
So they're in a position where I know that they want to keep it together, but they're going to have to deal something out of that forward core to be able to bring something in on the back end, both goaltending and defense,
Yeah,
because they're not going to get past that first round until they figure out that you can score all the goals you want to in the regular season, but once you get to that playoffs, that whole conversation changes.
yeah, and it's so interesting now because Marner has shown that he has little to no value as it stands, unless you want somebody that could potentially show up eventually. Um, of course, they don't want to get rid of Matthews. They're not going to want to get rid of Nylander in that second line. So Tavares, I guess, is on.
Yeah, but who's going to take Tavares' contract on a guy that's 35 years old now?
Yeah, I mean he's on what, an 8-year?
Yeah, I mean there's significant term left on this contract. I don't foresee Toronto doing anything other than dealing off one of those young studs. I could see Marner going because he does seem kind of be the it kind of puts between Marner and Nylander that they flip between being checked out of Toronto. Like they every once in a while Nylander shows up, every once in a while Marner shows up. Marner goes on a heater, and I mean he scores a ton of points. So there's value there.
Well, he scores a ton of points because he's getting 45 assists off Austin Matthews.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody can serve Austin Matthews. I think
we are
getting super close to seeing a blockbuster trade that's going to involve getting that Matthews cap hit off.
Arizona.
I really genuinely think that Matthews might be on his way out of Toronto.
Oh man, I couldn't believe that will be almost on a level of Wayne Gretzky leaving Edmonton. If you trade the reigning Hart and Lindsay Award winner, reigning Rocket Richard winner, that next summer. Now, Toronto accelerates a rebuild. If let's say you go with Arizona, trade them out there, take Arizona's 3 draft picks they have this year.
You know what else we have a ton of?
Cap space. Yeah, but you can't take on any more. You can't take any more dead contracts apparently. So no more Marian Hosas. No more. Are you guys still paying Marian Hossa?
Yeah, we are for 3 more years. I'm pretty sure we're still paying Jeremy Roenick, dude. Like, it's, we just cut Keith Tkachuk a check because one of the sections happens to be his numbers. Like, that's where we're at,
Let's see. Arizona. I'm looking at Cap Friendly right now. Well, you still have dead cap and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. You guys didn't.
No, I know.
What?
Yeah.
As much as you gave up?
Yeah. That was probably one of the worst trades in Arizona history.
Yeah, because, I mean, you gave up on Connor Garland.
Who I love. Everybody in Arizona loves Connor Garland.
Yeah, that's the only one they got.
Jay Beagle, man.
Yeah, you got Jay Beagle. Gotta love those third liners.
Whoa, he moved up?
Well, on Arizona, he's a third liner. Fourth liner in most other teams.
On Arizona, he's a second liner. Let's be real.
Yeah. You got a guy named Bokanji Imama. I'd never heard of this dude. Emergency loan left winger, 25 years old. Huh. Well, no one knows who's on your team, man.
He sounds like he could cook really well.
I bet. Sounds good. So Cale McCarr has cemented his place as
The new Bobby Orr.
Yeah, you win the Norris. Think of this week for this dude. Like he goes and wins the Stanley Cup. The night before he wins the Norris Trophy as the best defenseman in the league, and then he also gets the Conn Smythe for the playoff MVP. I mean, that's a trifecta for a guy that's what 21 years old now.
I think he's still 20. I think there was a bunch of jokes going around about how he can't even drink with the team
Jeez,
to celebrate winning a Stanley Cup. You just imagine being the odd man out. You won a Stanley Cup, and you pretty much, I mean, without Cale McCarr, I don't know if this would have played out the same.
no. I mean, Cale McCarr.
You're not even allowed to get champagne sprayed on you because you might accidentally lick it off your arm.
Yeah, I think people were looking the other way the other night. So
I would hope so, man.
um,
I would say that kid honestly probably would be like, you know what? Take a video. I'll take the fine. What is it, $100? You know what I mean?
yeah, underage drinking in Florida. I mean, underage drinking in Florida is a sport, I think. I mean, you think of spring break, Daytona.
Yeah, it's only in season from what? The end of March to when is Labor Day?
Yeah.
You know, it's a long season though. It's
Yeah,
hockey season.
absolutely. Let's see. Things are starting to move now that we switched from the end of the regular, the end of the playoffs. Now we're into the postseason, silly season, as they call it. So, last night Minnesota traded Kevin Fiala to the LA Kings. So the rich get richer in a way. I'm not really crazy about the deal that Kevin Fiala signed, but they do get a competent forward who played really well with Kirill Kaprizov. Uh, Minnesota gains some cap space and gets actually a couple pretty good pieces for a guy that they really couldn't afford anymore. They get a first round pick from LA this year, which is the 19th overall pick, and then they get the defensive player of the year in the Big Ten for University of Minnesota. What is his name? Brock Faber. Um, didn't score a ton of points, but yeah, lockdown defenseman in his sophomore season at University of Minnesota. So at a quality program, I'm pretty sure Minnesota's going to be. This was a smart move for them. Not sure it's a smart move for LA. Short term, probably.
I think that LA has to make a few deals that might be frowned upon a little bit by us, um, just to kind of maintain right now. Because you know you've got Kopitar's going to be gone soon. Um, you need to have some type of veteran presence that's actually proven, and I think that Fiala was kind of a budget version of that. Fiala's played with some really good guys, and I think that can brush off at least in like a teaching.
Yeah, I mean, your hope is that he's going to slot in next to a guy, and one of the young guys, um, like Kaliev, um, and set them up like he was setting up Kirill Kaprizov,
Right.
and leading to their maturation as players. That's the best case scenario. Now, the problem with LA is they're up there in the cap. Now, you're right. Once Andre Kopitar,
that's quite a bit of cap.
that's a chunk of cap. The other cap hit that might leave this summer via trade.
It's
Although
quick.
I'm not sure that they're ready to hand the keys to Cal Peterson, but Jonathan Quick is in his last year of his contract.
I really think that Jonathan Quick's going to end up in Arizona.
That's a possibility.
I think it's going to be either Arizona or Vegas. Because Vegas just eats up like secondhand, worn out goaltenders.
Yeah, that's part of their problem.
Well, I know, but you think they're going to fix it?
No, they've gone all in, man. They keep hitting. Double down. Let's split those aces, man. Yeah, I mean, I could see Quick going to Buffalo, although Today it emerged that Buffalo re-signed Craig Anderson to a one-year contract. You laugh on a team that finished 25 points out of the playoffs. He did go 17, 12, and 1.
Yeah,
Not
but the guy's going to go straight off of Buffalo into a retirement community.
Yeah, I mean, he's 41 years old now. He just turned 41. Um, you know, is he the guy that's going to lead Buffalo back to the playoffs? Obviously not.
Yeah,
My
he's
hope
definitely
is
not the future. He doesn't have much of one.
no. My hope is that he's here for this season. Um, there's talk about bringing up the young goaltender Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I'm not sold on him yet. He's struggled in the AHL. He was phenomenally talented. Um, but he's got injury history, so I'm not sure that he's the future with Buffalo. They're waiting on Devin Levi, who's the odds-on favorite for uh, the MVP of college hockey, the Hobey Baker winner um, with Northeastern. That's kind of the goaltender of the future for the Sabres. Um, but they're going to need something like a 3-year bridge guy that they can bring in to hold down the fort and hopefully get them into the playoffs. Again, Buffalo's future is pretty bright when you talk about the level of talent they have on that team going into the end of this past season. Um, they do have some questions on some of the free agent signings that they need to make. Like, do they bring back Vinny Hinostroza, Cody Eakin, some of those guys? Um, they were all on cap friendly deals this past year, like $750,000. In fact, Craig Anderson was on a $700,000 deal. They actually more than doubled his salary. He's got $1.5 million deal this season, so he's making uh, decent money. But this is really just to help Buffalo to stay at the cap floor. They've got $35 million of salary cap. They actually got a little more salary cap than Arizona does at this point. Um, but I'm okay with Craig Anderson coming back, but he's got to be at that 1B level.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get if he stays healthy, and that was the issue last year. He had a couple of long-term injuries that kept him out of the lineup. He went 17, 12, and 1. Played really well down the stretch. Who does Buffalo bring in to be that 1A goaltender?
Hopefully Tom Wilson, but he can't wear a mask.
Do you like Tom Wilson?
I hate Tom Wilson.
I understand. Some disturbing news from the world of hockey. 5 major sponsors of Hockey Canada have suspended support for the men's program after it emerged that Hockey Canada settled a lawsuit from the 2018 World Junior Championships in Buffalo. That roster, and we just talked about this guy, but none of the details really emerged. What caught my eye was that Victor Mete, who is a Montreal Canadiens prospect, who's spent some time in the show, issued a statement that he was not involved. He didn't go to one of the events that apparently this happened at, which was a golf tournament. There was a golf tournament and a awards banquet after this that apparently a 24-year-old woman claims to have been assaulted. Hockey Canada settled that lawsuit. I'm sure that part of that stipulation is that she doesn't reveal who was involved. But there are some major names on that one. Max Comtois is one of those guys. Dylan Dubé and Cale Makar was on that team. And could you imagine if his name gets caught up in this?
Jeez, this is a weird one too, because we had the Blackhawks situation, and it wasn't hockey news; it was sports news.
Yeah.
Like,
it was news. It was
yeah,
news.
yeah. I mean, like it was on CNN. Like,
Yeah.
it really, reached out there. I never would have heard about this if you hadn't sent me a link.
Oh yeah, I was just doing some show prep 6:00 when we go on at 7:00. I just popped onto TSN to see what was going on, and I saw this story. And we're talking about like major Canadian corporations,
Yeah, and I
Tim
mean
Hortons.
it hasn't been touched by Bleacher Report yet. It's not on ESPN. It's it's just not reached anywhere.
Yeah,
And
but it's gonna.
is it though? Because usually whenever this stuff breaks, everybody picks it up as fast as they can and they roll with it. For this to be a slow burn, that's pretty weird.
Well, I think there's a combination of things. The Stanley Cup Finals are over, so people's focus is not on hockey right now. Even in Canada, I mean, they're getting ready. Tomorrow's Canada Day, so happy birthday, Canada! Have fun, drink a lot of beer for me. Thanks for sharing my birthday. Um,
Oh,
but
tomorrow's your birthday?
yeah,
Your 6 Facebooks will tell me, I'm sure.
yeah, I would hope so. um,
Happy
but
birthday, Dave.
thank you. But so news is not going to hit as big right now. This is probably a favorable time for Hockey Canada for this to happen, but once larger news organizations start getting this, sexual assault by hockey players, with the possibility of some large names being involved. I had the roster. Let's see: Dylan Dubé, Boris Kachuk, Maxime Comtois, Taylor Radish, Drake Batherson, Brett Howden, Sam Steele, Jordan Cairo, and Robert Thomas of St. Louis, um, Jake Bean, Cal Foote, Cale Makar, Dante Fabro, and Victor Mete. Those are guys that have actually played time in the league. And then the goaltender was Carter Hart. So this is, I mean, if any of those guys get caught up in this, you're talking, I would say probably no less than a year suspension. But could be even worse. I mean, the one thing about that dude last year, the Canadians draft pick, um, he had been convicted and had issued an apology. This is like what 4 years later, and we have one guy that's already come out and denied any involvement. Nothing from any of the other players yet. But Canada, Hockey Canada. Remember the World Junior Championships is this summer. They had to cancel it in December because they didn't have, they had the COVID issue. They got a couple games in, and they just said, okay, we got to stop this, and we'll do it in the summer.
Yeah.
You're talking Tim Hortons, Canadian Tire, Esso, Scotiabank, and TELUS. These are like
That's at least 4 of the top 5 biggest sponsors.
and two of like four of the top 5 biggest companies in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, to lose Scotiabank, to lose Canadian Tire. Like, Canadian Tire's been sponsoring hockey in general since World War One.
And Scotiabank, like, I think of the 7 arenas in Canada, I think they sponsor, they're the title sponsor of at least 5 of them.
Well, I'm thinking 3 NHL. Because
they've got the Scotiabank Saddle Dome.
Yep.
They got the Scotiabank. The one in Vancouver is Scotia. Yep. The one in Toronto now is Scotia.
Oh, is it Scotia?
And yeah, it's no longer the Air Canada Center. It's Scotiabank something.
So what do they call Montreal now?
Montreal, I think, is Scotia as well, and is Ottawa. Yep. Ottawa was kind of the first Scotiabank place.
Oh, I thought it was Saddle Dome.
No, it's all the Scotiabank relationship with Ottawa has been far along. Gone back to like the 90s.
Scotia, Ottawa.
Yeah.
Ontario, Nova Scotia.
Speaking of Nova Scotia, congrats to the St. John's Sea Dogs. They were the Memorial Cup champions. The Memorial Cup is the championship tournament, hosting the 3 winners of the Canadian Junior Leagues and a host team. St. John's was the host team. They didn't win their uh, league title this year, although that's not an uncommon thing for the host team to do. They lay low and emerge and rest up for the because they're already in it. They don't have to
Yeah,
fight and
like a bunch of
kill
sea dogs.
all salty sea dogs.
Let sleeping sea dogs lie.
Yeah, well, they won the Memorial Cup, beating Hamilton in the championship game 6-3. Um, but yeah, so congratulations to them. Uh, it'll be interesting to see how this story with Hockey Canada emerges because all the
If it
Canadian
does,
major leagues.
I
If
don't
it
know,
does,
man. I got a feeling that if it was going to break, it would have already broke.
I think I'll have to see when this thing broke because if it was like today that it broke, that all these places are um, pulling their sponsorship, and then Victor Mete issuing it, it may still have time to mushroom. I think I've lost Travis. He looks frozen. Let it go, Travis. Let it go. Yeah, he's frozen. Anyway, let's talk preseason or our preseason predictions. In fact, let me send Travis a message. There we go, Travis. See you back in a few minutes. Anyway, so our preseason predictions. I hashed these up really, really badly. Um, so in the Eastern Conference Finals this year, I predicted the Islanders versus Florida Panthers. At least Florida made the playoffs. Islanders spectacularly flamed out of the entire season. They finished um, out of the playoffs. I think they were ninth in the Eastern Conference, but were well back because they just got off to a horrendous start. People forget they had to do the like a 10 or 13 game road trip to start the season because their arena wasn't ready. And once they went 500 on that road trip, and once they got to the new barn, they didn't win for like the first 7 games in the new barn. And so yeah, um, uh, Islanders missed the playoffs completely. And one of the things I did when we were talking about Florida is I've pumped Spencer Knight's tires. Um, yeah, that didn't work out well. Knight kind of had a sophomore slump this year. He didn't. A lot of people were thinking that Spencer would take over that goaltending crease in Florida because Bobrovsky had really a kind of an average season. Florida had a great season this year, at least regular season. They finally got past the first round of the playoffs for the first time since 1996 when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Um, let's see what Travis says. So hopefully we'll see him here in a few minutes. Travis said Washington Capitals versus Tampa Bay Lightning as the Eastern Conference Finals. Not a bad pick. Both teams made the playoffs. Washington, of course, gets bounced in the first round by Florida. Um, but Washington just you can tell that Washington's kind of on that back end. They're competitive still, but they're just not. They don't have the oomph to get past some of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Um, yeah, so Western Conference. Travis gave me one team, but he didn't give me two teams. He gave me Vegas. Um, we talked about Colorado, Minnesota. He didn't really pick one between those two teams, although he did love Minnesota. He has an undying love for Mister Kirill Kaprizov. I don't dispute that. Um, Minnesota is Minnesota's a tough team to predict because of their salary cap situation with uh, the fact that they got Zach Parise under contract, even though he's playing for the New York Islanders. They've got Ryan Suter under contract for like 8 more years, both of them for like 8 more years, um, taking up salary cap space and not insignificant salary cap space. Uh, but they got a good young team, Joel Eriksson Ek, Dumba. There's good pieces there in Minnesota to be excited about. Dealing off Kevin Fiala is going to help. Can they re-sign Marc Andre Fleury? Or does Marc Andre Fleury go off to? Definitely not going to go back to Vegas, but there may be another team. Darcy Kemper, the goaltender of the Colorado Avalanche, is a unrestricted free agent. Let's say he takes the money and runs off to some other place. Does Colorado say, "Hey, Marc Andre Fleury, why don't you come play here for a chance at the cup?" Does he take it? I don't know. I think he's open to coming back. Does he want to come back for Minnesota or some other team? My pick for the Western Conference Final was Colorado and Vegas, and I was half right. Yeah, we were both on the Vegas train this year, and that got derailed, and I'm pretty happy about that because after the preseason predictions is when Jack Eichel got traded to Vegas. We got their first round pick. Uh, I did spend a lot of time talking about how Peyton Krebs might challenge for the Calder Trophy. Vegas buried him until he got traded to Buffalo. Buffalo put him in Rochester for a little bit, and he came up. The kid has got just unreal vision on the ice. He made some passes this season that were just like, uh, to me, he's going to be like an Adam Oates type player. He's not going to score a ton of goals, although he's got a good shot. Um, it's that vision, that passing, that is going to make him a lot of money in this late league. But Colorado and Vegas, Colorado did make it. They did make the finals. But our Stanley Cup finals turned out to be Travis picked Vegas and Washington, which, hey, give him credit for having one playoff team in his finals, which was Washington. He said Washington was going to win the Stanley Cup, which is, and then for me, this is awful. I picked the Islanders versus Vegas, so neither one of those teams made the Stanley Cup Finals. Um, yeah, so that was um, that was just an awful prediction by me, and I it definitely tempers the idea that I did hit the Stanley Cup prediction when it was when the Stanley Cup final came around, where I said Colorado in 6 and Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. Um, but yeah, based on my preseason prediction, that was just dirt. Travis, though, was a lot better in some of his predictions during the preseason show. He talked about Travis that Kirill Kaprizov could lead Minnesota like McDavid leads Edmonton, and all signs point to that being true. With the Minnesota Wild, Kirill is the straw that stirs the drink in Minnesota. He is that big stud. Will they find a dry for him? That's the question. Um, but there's a danger in that because Edmonton dumped a lot of money in both McDavid and Draisaitl, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay some of the free agents and bring in a quality goaltender and fit that all under the cap with people who want to actually be in Edmonton. So um, my prediction, we talked about players to watch. Uh, For me, it was I said Cole Caulfield because he had just come off that run to the Stanley Cup Finals. He looked phenomenal. Something happened between him and the coach at the beginning of this past season, the former coach of the Montreal Canadiens, and he was a shell of a player up until December, and he actually got sent down to Laval, the Montreal Canadiens, top farm team in the AHL, and spent some time there until the head coach was fired, and they brought in Martin Saint Louis uh, to coach the Canadiens. And Cole Caulfield came back on. Oh, Travis is back. What's up,
Hey,
man?
Tom Wilson. I only said it once. Now I've said it twice.
That's guaranteed, man. 2 times a
Guaranteed.
show.
I had to come back.
There you go.
All right, where are we? What are we doing? What are we
I was talking
about?
about our playoff predictions. So you predicted Washington and Tampa in the Eastern Conference Finals.
One for two.
I predicted the Islanders and Vegas, or I'm sorry, the Islanders and Florida in the Eastern Conference Finals. I could have predicted Vegas, as bad as my predictions were. At least Florida made the playoffs. I can't say the same for the Islanders. For the Western Conference, you actually never picked a second team. You said Vegas, and then we talked about Minnesota and Colorado, but I never got you to nail you down on a prediction.
I would have picked Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we talked about Minnesota and Kirill Kaprizov and all that stuff.
I don't know. I feel like I'd actually been more likely to pick Minnesota and Colorado than I would have been Minnesota and Vegas. But
yeah, but I mean, it would have been almost impossible for Minnesota and Colorado to, because they're.
Oh yeah, because that's what I said. I said Minnesota and Colorado, and you're like, that can't.
Yeah,
happen.
one of those.
Like, oh crap.
One of those two teams will have to face. They'll have to face each other and emerge, which kind of sucks when you got to look at the reemergence of St. Louis this year. You've got 3 just top flight teams in the Central Division, and only one's going to get out. And
really surprised Seattle didn't come up from behind and take that Western Conference. But
yeah, I said Seattle. That was another embarrassing thing. I said Seattle was finished 4th.
Seattle's the worst team in the league.
Yeah, Seattle's going to finish 4th in the in the Pacific. Although I did say, as bad as the Pacific is relative to the other divisions, there's a chance that they'll only get 3 teams in the playoffs. I was right about that, but I was wrong about Calgary. I thought Calgary was going to be down. Calgary ended up winning the division, but I had like Seattle, or not Seattle, but Vancouver, Vegas, and Edmonton, and missed on Vancouver and Vegas. So, but for the Stanley Cup Finals, you picked Vegas versus Washington, and your Stanley Cup final champ was the Washington Capitals. I will give you kudos because you actually picked a playoff team. Mine was the Islanders versus Vegas. Yeah. So that did not work out at all.
Yeah.
I picked the Islanders to win it all.
I'll tell you what's going to be crazy next year.
What's that?
I'll tell you what will be crazy next year.
What's that?
Whenever Detroit is in the playoffs.
I could see it.
Well,
have they even named a coach yet?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to lead that team to actually get in the playoffs? I've heard the people in Vegas are putting money on Sergei Fedorov to come and lead the team. Interesting choice. I mean, I think he's still involved in the KHL at this point. So,
but dude, the KHL is currently collapsing.
Yeah, so he may be looking for a gig. I wouldn't be surprised.
He still has a house in Michigan.
Yeah,
because I have his address.
That's not stalkerish.
Well, no, I actually got his address to send him a letter to verify that he signed I have a rookie year signed puck.
Nice.
From the KHL.
Oh, cool.
With the number, he wrote the number on it that was his rookie number. And it is a very early auto. So I may have one of the first Sergei Fedorov autos.
That's killer.
Yeah.
So you did nail some in my Stanley Cup final champ was the Islanders. Now you did nail a couple of things. particularly with Kirill Kaprizov. You said that Kaprizov could lead Minnesota like McDavid. That is true. Got 108 points this season,
Verified.
40, 47 goals. Now you also we did players to watch. I said Cole Caulfield. That blew up. He just did not work well with the coach. He did come back when Martin St. Louis came back into or came to coach Montreal. He came back up. He was pulled back up from the minors and played really well. I mean, he was scoring like he did before, during the Stanley Cup run. If he had had that kind of coaching the entire season, perhaps he would have been the Calder winner. You said the player to watch was Kirill Kaprizov and that he would hit 50 goals. You were close. He got 47 goals.
47.
But yeah, close enough, man. That's a haul. But I mean, yeah, he is making the money that you want a guy to hit 50 goals each season.
Yeah, I mean, can we just count like every 60 points as a goal?
Well, he got 108 points, so he only got
one off. Yeah.
Yeah, but 108 points. I mean, so he is way more than a point a game player. And yeah, he is everything in Minnesota. I did say before you came back on, can Minnesota get a Draisaitl for him? Or do they?
I really think they can.
Well, do they need to? Because Edmonton's caught in the trap now. They got so much money tied up in Draisaitl and Nurse, along with McDavid, that it's hard to bring in other players like they got the sweetheart deal with Evander Kane, but Kane's going to get money this summer, and I don't know that Edmonton has the cap space to do it. In fact, I'll check what their cap space is.
This advertisement break brought to you by Cap Friendly.
It is
when you need to know while you're on the show.
Yeah. Where is? Oh, because I hadn't scrolled up far enough on the list. That's why.
Oh,
that's not good. Okay, so they're at 75 million right now. So they've got $7 million in cap space. They need to bring in at least one more defenseman and a goaltender, and somehow get Evander Kane to fit under all of that.
Well, all you have to pay Evander Kane's about that much.
So, yeah, $7 million. He's going to get at least $7 million.
Yeah, like this much though. Like he just needs like this much.
This much.
This much.
This much. Yeah. Show him the money.
Old money phone.
Yeah, I don't know how Edmonton does it. Who are they going to move out to get? Are they going to buy out like Zach Cassian? Are you going to?
Zach Cassian, I feel like, is way more important than is given credit because he is now the Lucic of Edmonton. You have to have a tough guy in that conference. Like, you have to, and that's your guy. I mean, that's the he's the bread and butter enforcer for them.
Yeah, he's the guy that makes sure that Connor can skate up the ice and Leon can skate up the ice.
I still think one of the worst decisions that Edmonton has ever made was to get rid of Ethan Bear.
Oh yeah, that was a dumb trade.
It was great for Carolina, so I'm not complaining. But if honestly, dude, if nothing else, that kid sold so many jerseys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he was warranted to. He was fantastic, but the whole native language jersey thing.
Oh my god, those were so cool. Like I
sold out.
Yeah,
they're still sold out.
Yeah.
Is it Cree? Is it the language? I think it's Cree.
I can't remember what language that is. I don't know if Cree is on that side of Canada.
I don't know. Whatever it is, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Their font,
yeah,
or whatever you would call the letters, is dope.
Plus a dude named Bear. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, you not love Bear.
Yeah. So what did you think about the TV coverage this season? We started a new contract with ESPN playing just a ton of games. Well, they really took over center ice.
It's super annoying.
Yeah, the ESPN TV coverage, like their main games, overdone, way overdone. Um,
It just, I was excited about it because it was going to get me out of paying what $180 a year, I think, for center ice
yeah, and it's $60 for the ESPN Plus package, but
for
you
a
also get
year.
every other for the
But
year,
like,
and plus you get all the other sports that you might want to watch.
yeah,
So
and I had Hulu and I had the ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu
yeah,
package. So it was like $13 a month. But I mean,
yeah,
you're getting more stuff than you could ever watch out of it. So it's like, yeah, okay, that's nice. But like, this is going to sound super first world problemy. Um, Dude, honestly, I would have rather paid the extra money and had it all in one place, so I didn't spend the first period trying to figure out where the game is. You know,
yeah,
because like I'm switching to cable and then I'm switching back and then I'm going over here. Like I'm one of those guys. If I'm watching games, there's 3 games on tonight. Even if they don't start at intervals, like I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna watch the first period of this, and then I'm gonna come back and second period I'm gonna watch this, and then I'll flip back and check that other one, and then there's this other one, and I want to see the end of it, and like open the app, close the app, cable on, change the channel. One game's on TNT, one game's on ESPN, one game's on ESPN Plus. So it's like you're just going all over the place. Eventually, I was like, screwed, I'll just watch one game.
yeah.
So
That is the one thing that did make it hard was scrolling between games because like on center ice it was just flip a channel, but now
in
you'd have
center
to go
ice, you can
out of it.
split screen.
Yeah, you could. You had to get out of the one video that you're video on demand that you were watching and get into another video on demand. There's a little bit of lag. I didn't mind the coverage so far. It did make it a lot cheaper. It does have, as long as the game wasn't called by John Buccigross,
Oh, dude,
who
and
was not. I didn't mind the announcers, even the people that raged over Leah Hextall.
I
Like
really was not a fan. I tried.
on
I
Leah
just,
Hextall.
yeah.
I,
She would come up and I'd just mute it.
yeah,
I'd just
I
mute it
didn't
and
mind.
watch it.
I didn't mind Leah Hextall. Um, I don't. Buccigross was far worse for me because he's kind of stuck in that 1990s Sports Center. Like he wants to drop little catchphrases all game, and I'm like, just shut up and call the damn game.
The biggest thing that got me with the coverage, the number one complaint I had, I love local announcers. If whenever I turn the TV on, I go to used to go to center ice, and there were certain teams that I would watch just because of the coverage, and you got the call outs from that team, and I could pick which one I wanted to watch, the home or the away feed. And like I heard Todd Walsh call a game this year
Oh wow,
for Arizona.
huh? Because my ESPN Plus gave me home and away for.
Yeah, mine
I
didn't
know
even
I
give me an
watched.
option. You cut it on, and this is the game you get.
Back
And
out.
you almost always got the home team.
Yeah. So what I did was, if I got on, like, let's say I was watching Boston and Buffalo, and I'd flip it on, and the Boston coverage came on, I'd back out actually into the ESPN Plus app and choose the Buffalo feed because it would give you that option to choose the alternate feed.
Yeah, there
Because
were
I absolutely refuse to listen to Jackass Edwards.
there were several games this year where I actually listened to it on the radio instead.
Wow.
I used to do that a lot whenever I was a gun salesman.
Yeah.
Like I got threatened to get fired over it twice because people would come back there and I would have a hockey game on, and management would be like, "Oh, you can't do that while you work." Okay, I quit.
It's stupid. Just let people
Well,
listen to what they
dude,
want to listen to.
November 23rd, the first year that I worked at the place that shall not be named, um, I had a boss that hated me, and he looked for any reason that he could possibly find to just try to mess with me. And it, he was in a former life in a position of power, and he was trying to reclaim that
Yeah.
as an associate manager or assistant manager, and I just wouldn't take part in it. And he came back there and he said, I had a game on, and I was working, like checking paperwork, listening to the game, wearing a Coyotes jersey, and he said, "Turn it off," and I said, "No." And he said, "I'm going to write you up." And this is November 23rd. Okay, so 2 days after this, more guns are sold in the U.S. on that day than any other day of the year because it's Thanksgiving. You got Thanksgiving and Black Friday.
Yeah.
And I said, "You know what, dude? I'm scheduled to work Thursday and Friday." I said, "I quit. Send me a check in the mail." What? I said, I'm the fastest person here on paperwork. Your best salesman by sales. You lost me. And I ended up negotiating a 50-cent raise out of that.
Nice. That's the
I
way to do it,
lost
man.
And then the guy got fired. So,
Probably because he gave you a 50-cent raise.
well, he didn't give me a raise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He wouldn't have given me a nickel. Like one nickel, not even an hour. Just he wouldn't have given me a nickel. But yeah, so go back to my roots and listen to some hockey on radio.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's lost a little bit of luster for me since Rick Jeanneret's retired. The one unforgivable sin of ESPN this season was it did not carry, like Center Ice would carry like retirement ceremonies and things like that. ESPN did not cover the retirement ceremony of they didn't do like jersey retirements or anything like that. They did not cover the Rick Jeanneret. I had to actually watch it later on YouTube, and there were just I remember the night it happened, people were on Saber's social media just roasting ESPN about not carrying it because I mean
It's a big deal.
yeah, it's a guy's been
That guy's a Hall of
calling
Famer.
50 years, 51 years calling hockey games. How do you not cover that?
Yeah, I mean he was almost around for Toronto to win a cup. That's how long he's been calling games.
But yeah, I mean, I that's one thing that they're going to have to improve on. Now let's talk about TNT. I thought their coverage was excellent. The only thing I didn't like about TNT's coverage was that you know how ESPN's got that da 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 song that opens up their broadcast. The one that TNT chose sounds like more of a murder mystery than an actual hockey.
Sounds like somebody got their throat slit with a skate.
Yeah, they're like all of a sudden Robert
So
Stack's going to come out and he's going to start talking about an unsolved mystery. Like, no, I want to watch hockey.
Rod Serling talking about the game that never ended.
Yeah, some just weird happening. So I'm glad.
And I will give credit in one place to both of them. For sure, one thing that I appreciated more than anything else this season. It sounds dumb until you think about it. The best thing that happened this season, as far as that goes, I was so happy to not see the same commercial 5 times in a row.
Oh God!
You finally got to see a variety of commercials. It doesn't sound like a big deal until you watch hockey 3 nights in a row, and there's like one song on a Hyundai commercial, and you know that song better than the guy that wrote it.
Actually, I had the opposite thing with my ESPN stuff. ESPN, at least on our side of West Virginia, we're both in West Virginia. For those who don't know, I got the West Virginia lottery ads, and they played.
Oh, dude! But do you remember on Center Ice, whenever they would play the West Virginia lottery song, and it wouldn't even pull up like the video, it just play the lottery song with a black screen. It was the weirdest thing ever.
I didn't get that, but
hated that, man.
ESPN overloaded that, and every once in a while I would tweet out to ESPN like, "Hey, man, can you guys back off the West Virginia lottery commercials?" And they would do it. Like the next couple of games, you would see a West Virginia lottery commercial like once every 3 or 4 commercials, but when they got into heavy rotation, it was like every commercial you would
I
get
can't do that.
and they're
I
just
can't handle it.
awful commercials. Like they're quirky to help you remember that there's a West Virginia lottery, even though the West Virginia lottery is just
It's like those
outside of
JG
Mega Millions,
Wentworth commercials.
outside of West Virginia, outside of Powerball and Mega Millions, you don't win anything at the West Virginia lottery.
No.
It's like their top ticket, their top little scratchers like $50,000, whereas other states you got multi-million-dollar scratchers. There's no reason to play a scratcher in West Virginia at all. But yeah, the commercials are quirky, and they're just stupid. And first couple times it's okay, but after about the 13,000th time you've seen this commercial, you're wanting to put a shoe through the TV.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, I get it. You need ad revenue.
Oh yeah,
I'm not knocking the fact that they need to make money. I'm not one of those guys. Like, it does not hurt my feelings that you have to do something to make money. That's how businesses work.
yeah, absolutely.
Just let's find a happy medium. I don't need to see the same thing 50 times because I guarantee you they're not paying for you to show me that many times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would rather just have 2 minutes of silence than.
Well, that's usually what with center ice. That's what I would do. I would just grab the remote as soon as a commercial break came on, mute it, watch a few videos on my phone.
Well, you could do that, or flip to another game, which was a lot easier on center ice because it's just changing a channel. Whereas on
now
the
you're changing a
app,
service provider.
Yeah, the app is just it can be a pain. So I guess they know they have got a captive audience and
capitalize on it.
Yeah, but sell some more ad space. West Virginia companies buy. I'm watching hockey, so buy some ad space on ESPN and vary up the ads a little bit, please.
But we're also in one of the least hockey-prone states.
Yeah, we're one of the few states that has never produced an NHL player. Even though the movie Slapshot was kind of in a way set in West Virginia.
Really?
Yeah, Charleston Chiefs.
I figured it was just Charleston, Canada, or something.
No, Charleston. It was Rust Belt America in the 70s, and all the coal plants were shutting down, so it was kind of the backdrop for it. Although a lot of people say Wheeling is more the town that it was named that was set after.
Well, Charlestown is
Charlestown's right next to me. Right now, I think it was Charleston Chiefs.
Yeah, but I mean Charlestown is like Wheeling. That's the Wheeling Casino is in Charlestown.
Yeah. So, but as far as
Dave.
What's that?
Fun facts with Dave.
Yeah. So I like the TNT coverage. I mean, Paul Bissonnette is a nut. He's a little too pro Leafs for me, even though he's Coyote guy, but he's got Leafs underoos on. But Gretzky was fine. I think he added some spice to the coverage, and when he was on the nights he was on, Anson Carter's fine. The Liam McHugh, all that's fine.
They're Sean Avery to call a game.
Sean Avery and Leah Hextall calling a game.
Oh, dude, you know exactly what that would be. Oh, what's the right charge for that? What would you call that? What's the charge you get if you call somebody a C word on television? Because that's what would definitely happen with Sean Avery for sure.
Yeah, I mean it would be a FCC fine of some sort. But yeah, I mean TNT had the least offensive coverage. Now the Stanley Cup Finals switch over to TNT this season, which is nice because their games were actually over the air, or at least over the cable broadcast game. So you're not hunting through apps and all that stuff. Now I will say that kudos to ESPN for actually putting the Stanley Cup Finals on ABC. That's the one thing that they're going to lose going to TNT next year is they're not going to have domestic audience of the old top 3 TV stations. They're unless they come up with some deal. I think they're a, in some way affiliated with CBS, but
Well, Hulu is owned by Disney,
yeah,
which is owned by ABC.
yeah, and which owns ESPN and all that stuff.
Right.
That's why it went on ESPN. What can TNT get it on a major broadcast network,
I
or
wouldn't be
will they want
surprised if TNT wasn't owned by ABC. I feel like
it?
most of your
Well, no,
mid-tier stations are owned by
oh
ABC.
God, yeah, maybe they are.
Yeah, I'm gonna find
Because
out.
the Turner, Time Warner, yeah. Now I'm digging into media conglomerations. Time Warner is not, or was it? Yeah, I'm going way back on this one.
Okay, so TBS and TNT are owned by Warner Brothers,
Yeah,
and I think that Warner Brothers is in that ABC conglomerate.
so maybe it goes back to
Because
ABC.
Warner
The like
Brothers
the
produces a bunch of the Marvel movies, which is owned by Disney now.
yeah. So maybe it does go to ABC on the finals coverage rather than being on TNT or TBS.
We'll find
So
out.
yeah, we'll find out next season.
I'd say that that'll probably be kind of a play by ear for the network to figure out whether or not it's worth their time to actually air it.
I think they did pretty well with the coverage this year.
I would
The
say so. I mean,
viewership. I mean, you got a good sized city in Denver. You got Tampa, who's it's not the sexiest one. I mean, I think that had the networks been able to choose the Stanley Cup Finals, it would have been the Rangers and maybe Colorado. Um,
they'd have
Definitely.
found a way for it to be the Rangers in Toronto. They'd have been like, "Oh,
Well,
we got an emergency conference switch. Toronto's actually the West now."
well, when I first started watching hockey, Toronto was actually out in the West. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and Arizona was in the Pacific.
it was it was the year that the first time I really got into hockey. It was the year that Gretzky beat the Toronto Maple Leafs on their way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and uh, yeah, it was Toronto playing Los Angeles in the or in the Western Conference Finals. So not completely unheard of, but um, now that we've got 32 teams, I wonder.
I was 2 years old when Gretzky retired.
Don't tell me that, dude. So next month, yeah, in a couple hours, the current month, July, I'll be going to Albuquerque, New Mexico for my 30th high school reunion.
I'll be 30 in 6 years. Wait, how
When
old am I?
somebody's who am I? Why am I here? Are you 24?
I think so. I'm 24 or 25. I don't remember.
When was your birthday?
97.
97. Yeah, put you in the 25. Have you already passed your birthday?
That's in October.
So yeah, maybe 24.
I'm probably 24. Anyway,
You young ass. I was
I'm old enough to forget how old I am.
shit. At least I remember them turning 49 tomorrow. Um, yeah, when somebody posted that we're having our 30th high school reunion, I was like, you take that number out of your mouth. Like that ain't right. How
Dude,
did that happen?
my fifth is coming up, which is weird for me because like it seems like just a few months ago I was trying to get my 4-cylinder '97 Ranger up Independence Hill with coal trucks honking behind me to get me to pull over. But I knew that if I pulled over, I couldn't get going again. I'd have to back down to the bottom. Playing cream cassettes,
Nice.
trying to get it perfect to where the start of Disraeli gears was whenever I was pulling into the parking lot.
Good Lord. You are a young man.
Hey, West Virginia is 30 years behind, though. Southern West Virginia, again, I graduated in 16, but I was driving a truck with cassettes, and I was able to find cassettes. Like, Southern West Virginia is different. I didn't have internet until I was 14.
That was
I
like,
grew up with a record player.
well, that was like when I moved to New Mexico. New Mexico is much like that. It was very behind the times. It was probably a generation behind the times. Um, my dad bought a truck when we first moved out to New Mexico, and it had an 8-track player in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, good luck finding something to put in that 8-track player." We went to a thrift store and found like, my dad is was a big Italian guy from New York, and um, so one of the 8 tracks he found was the Godfather album soundtrack. So, but he didn't anticipate that these 8 tracks were 20 years old at that point.
So they just
Well,
started
no, they're
snapping.
like 15 years old at that point, and, so he pops it in there. It wasn't so much that the tape actually snapped, it was Albuquerque, New Mexico can get up to 103 degrees.
Oh, it melted in?
Yeah, melted in. So,
Oh,
like,
so all you
he
had was a
he pops it
Godfather.
he pops it in as, like, the theme to The Godfather starts playing. Da-da-na-na-na-na, like, he's like, "No," and he pulls it out, and it's like mozzarella cheese on a pizza stringing out from the from the 8 track.
I went to elementary school with a kid, and his dad was a coal miner, made really good money. Okay,
Yeah.
and he's actually a boss of the mine. And I remember we were in fourth grade, and he made a huge deal about them getting indoor plumbing at his house.
Dang.
Yeah, and like it wasn't that they didn't have the option; like they could have put it in 50 years before, but
Dad
they
was just
just
tight with money,
didn't
huh?
mind the inconvenience of going outside to go to the bathroom. Like it
Hmm.
just that was just kind of what they did. Like it, they didn't really want to update.
Yeah, but what about showers?
I think that they had a shower inside. They just
Oh,
didn't have
okay.
a toilet.
At least wow, that's
I
crazy.
I mean I never like the dude didn't smell bad that I can remember, so I'm gonna assume they had some worked out for that.
There you go. Alright, man, got anything else for the season?
I think that's it. We got
Cool.
the draft show coming up.
Yeah, draft show is coming up, Thursday. I'm not even sure what time that is. I think it's 8 o'clock is the draft, but I'll double check. Um, might put it up on Facebook just for shits and giggles, but I'm not really sure at this point. Um, but we'll be back
You're
on.
perma banned from Facebook.
We got TikTok behind us. We got Twitch and YouTube, and in fact, thank you to the viewer who's been on Twitch all night. So thank you for watching us. Um, but yeah, so Thursday night is the draft. There's rumblings that Shane Wright is not going to be the first overall pick. That
He's
it might
not.
be. It might be Uri Slavkovsky from Czechia or Slovakia. Um, and it'll be interesting because Montreal's hosting the draft and they got the first overall pick, so there's going to be a lot of raucous celebrations as they make their pick.
I have a feeling that that Shane Wright is going to end up being like the Ovechkin to this guy who's going to be the Crosby. We're just going to see another class of that come up.
It could be. I mean, it's going to have to be a situation like where Ovechkin and Crosby, although they were different draft classes, uh, get drafted with the lockout, kind of put them together. Um, but they're going to have to be in the same division. And who's got second? It's New Jersey, so not quite same division, but the same conference. They'll play a couple of times, but I think for really that Ovechkin Crosby type thing, you need to be the same division, so you're playing.
Well, I mean, like we missed the opportunity for one of those uh, hatred fueled fun time. We're all friends at the end of the day situations with Eichel and
McDavid.
McDavid.
Yeah.
It's about time for another one because Crosby's going to retire within 5 years. Ovechkin's going to retire within 7 or 8. So we need two more. Hey man, it might turn out to be McDavid and Kirill. Really, they're kind of in the same age group.
Well,
They're in the
no,
same.
I mean it could be Eichel and McDavid now because they're Eichel's
Yeah, but
in
Eichel's not
Vegas.
going to produce.
I don't know, man.
Eichel's dead in the water.
He's dead in the water. I'm not. I'll wait for this season for Eichel just because of the major surgery he just went through. He's still phenomenally talented. He's
Eichel
still
is
a jerk, but um, uh, they're now in the same division. There's a chance that they can meet in the playoffs. That's where Crosby and Ovechkin got really got the headlines going, was meeting in the playoffs and dropping competitive hat tricks in the same game, and going to seven games in each of their series. I mean,
I think that it's more likely it's going to be McDavid and Kaprizov is the kind of the top two in the league, ultra high skill goal scorers.
only if they're meeting because since they're in different divisions, they're going to have to meet in the playoffs. So they're going to have to meet in the conference finals a couple times for that to really pop off. Now, I mean, if they
It's a
are,
good story though. You got a Russian and a Canadian.
yeah,
Sound
um,
familiar? I'm just saying,
yeah,
man.
it could be,
I
could
hope
be,
so because that's fun.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
fun to
the
it's fun to
league
pick
needs
one to
that.
hate.
Yeah, the league needs that. So, a couple things to keep an eye on over the next week. Players are probably going to get dealt that are on expiring contracts to try and some teams are going to try and get ahead of free agency and try and sign players, just like the Fiala deal. Um, will Philip Forsberg get dealt? Will Malkin and Letang get dealt? Um, I think Malkin gets dealt. I think
I
there's
think he does.
there's no. I don't think there's really much chance that he gets the money he's looking for from
I
Pittsburgh.
think that if he goes anywhere, it's probably going to be Seattle. I think that Seattle's going to see the fault in their ways because he was unprotected for that entry draft.
Yeah, uh, they got to see something, man, because that team is on the struggle bus for a while.
It's a bye week.
But
Just
that's the
take
thing. Uh, if you're Malkin, do you want to go to Seattle?
no.
So you're going to be looking at a team that's because Seattle's not on the way back up. So you're going to be looking at a team like Detroit.
The the absolute funniest thing to me about Seattle was the one guy that they got that I was like, hey, this is probably a good decision. Was
Which
Mark
one? Mark
Giordano,
Giordano, and then they traded him.
and then they traded him, and it's like, guys, you really got to stop. It's not
Yeah,
funny anymore. You're not cute.
no, no. I mean, eventually people are going to stop coming to the games. Like that's what happened in Atlanta. People were curious to see the product out the door, but then once they suck for several seasons, um, people stop coming. Like it'll be cheaper to go to a Seattle Thunderbirds game for WHL or
Yeah,
a
and the
game.
Thunderbirds are pretty good. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be cheaper for people to not go to Seattle games because one, they got a brand new arena that they're going to have to pay off, and
yeah,
they're
but
not going to be.
dude, Amazon will just buy it and put a parking lot there.
Yeah, I mean the
Bezos has so much money, he probably forgets he owns it at least twice a week.
probably. Oh, I have no doubt that he forgets 90% of the shit he owns. So
Yeah. Could you imagine the team of people he has to have to keep up with investments? I would
oh
say that just to control Bezos's money, there's at least 100 people employed.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't. First off, I couldn't imagine having his money. So
I don't think I'd want it. I honestly, if I had Bezos money, I know what I would do. I would buy a small country. I would. I,
hookers and cocaine.
no, I probably would buy a portion of Chile.
Chili's a little more expensive than that. I would.
No way.
They're probably in the past they've been one of the better economies in South America.
You could
So
totally buy Venezuela.
yeah, but then
You
you
could
get
probably
all
buy
your
Venezuela twice.
you would get down there, you'd buy it, and then they confiscate the rest of your wealth. So that's the danger of Venezuela.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just buy the government. They're for sale. They've proven.
Yep.
Yeah. Or maybe just like the Panhandle of Argentina.
Hey, buy the Eastern Panhandle.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
buy
I'm
West
sure.
Virginia. Actually,
Yeah,
we'll sell cheap, man. You can come in and get it.
our politicians have many times indicated they are for sale. So
I'll tell you how bad West Virginia's politics are. If you're not from here, I am not sure what political party my governor is this term. And that's not a joke. I actually have no clue which one he is this time. Same
I
thing
don't
with
either.
one of my senators because they switch back and forth every election. If you don't like the Democrats and they figure that out, they're going to be a Republican this term, and then you're going to hate the Republicans because they were Republican, and then they'll go back to Democrat. So
Yeah, I don't think Jim Justice knows what party he's in at this point.
Jim Justice knows one thing.
Excuse me.
No, Jim Justice knows.
I've got to go pee and then throw up, and because the information is.
Where's the other one?
Can follow the guidelines.
I can
Jim
follow the
Justice
guidelines.
knows three things really well: golden trout, vaccines, and baby dog.
Baby dog. Baby dog should be the governor, actually.
I am not. I'm not totally convinced that Men in Black is not based on a true story, and Baby Dog is not the governor sent here from space to just cause chaos. Hey man, I'm just saying it. You know, sometimes Jim Justice looks a little lumpier than other times. It could just be a fat suit for Baby Dog.
It could be. Although Baby Dog's been seen on camera with Justice, so
Yeah, that was Baby Dog's stunt double.
there you go.
You know, that's like Jim Justice makes way worse decisions whenever he has Baby Dog. Because both those speeches, he had that dog with him. You know, maybe it's like a little
Dumpster
glitch with the communications between Baby Dog and the robot body. Jim Justice gave me a box of cigars when I was 15.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow. He was not governor yet, though.
No, he owned. So I can walk out on my back porch and throw a golf ball, and I'm on a golf course. And I don't have to throw very hard. I mean, our property line connects to it. And I used to just go over there, and I would go over. They'd have tournaments and stuff, and I'd just go over there with a shotgun and start shooting squirrels out of trees on the green. Like, I didn't care at all. I had a 22. You know what CB caps are?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't know what CB caps are and you're still watching this for some stupid reason, CB caps are basically just a primer in a 22 round, and whenever you shoot them, they go, and that's all the noise they make.
Yeah.
And they really don't even have enough velocity to kill something. Like if you're really close, they might maybe kill a raccoon, possibly if you hit it in the head. They're more for like, 40 years ago, if your neighbor's dog wouldn't stop barking in the middle of the night, that was what CB caps were used for. It's terrible, but that's
they're not.
That's the history. And I would just go sit over there with a lever action 22 and shoot golf balls. There was this big hill, and they'd hit the ball off the top of the hill, and they'd have to go around this cart path, and they couldn't see the ball while they were coming down. And I would sit there for lever action and just pop the golf ball as far over as I could, and just lay there in the bushes and watch people like get super confused because
I saw it go this way.
Yeah, the ball was here, and it would move it like 5 feet at a time. That tells you how hard this thing would hit. Because I mean, I can take a golf ball, hit it with a tennis racket, it's going to go 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
So this thing just would bounce them a little. But yeah, I wound up like I would just go over after school. I would walk home from the bus stop, which is a mile and a half, downhill, luckily, and I would just come home and grab a gun and go to the golf course. And I would walk into. They had a clubhouse at the golf course, and I would walk into the clubhouse with a gun and sit at the bar. This is like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Sit at the bar, and this one old man would always give me a Coke. Like, he would buy me a Coke. And I would just sit at the bar while everybody's drinking and smoking and drink my Coke with my gun at a bar. And
Very
that's
nice.
Southern West Virginia.
There you go.
And you know how many people got shot?
How many?
None. Zero.
Golf balls? Many.
Golf balls got messed up, man. I don't even think that it hurt them.
No, I don't think it would hurt them. You might get a little
I think
dent.
they're too
in it.
dense, you know?
Yeah. They're pretty tightly packed. So,
Yeah.
all right, man. Anything else for the week? Before we wrap
I
up?
think that weird little rant wraps it up. That's it's the end of hockey season.
Yeah.
And now you know about my shady history with
It is.
Titleist Pro Vs.
It is definitely the silly season now in hockey. So.
It is started.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching us. Thanks for the folks on TikTok and Twitch and all that stuff. We will talk to everyone next week from
Love
the
you.
draft, watching the draft. Each of our teams have 3 picks for now. So we'll have plenty to talk about. And anyway, have a great night, and we'll talk to everyone later.
We love you, and we hate Tom Wilson.
Yes.